Everyone laughed. Her roommate called him a problem. Her mother called twice to make sure she was serious. Her coworkers started a group chat about the lion. A 28-year-old woman had brought home a 19-pound Maine Coon that had already been returned once for being overwhelming, and everyone thought it was hilarious. Nobody's laughing now. Everyone had something to say about it. Her roommate said the cat was bigger than some of the dogs she had seen at the park. Her mother called twice in the first week to ask if she was sure. Her coworkers started a group chat, she found out later, where the running joke for 3 weeks was some variation of, "How's the lion?" A 28-year-old woman named Sophie had brought home a Maine Coon named Atlas, and apparently that was the funniest thing that had happened to anyone in her life in recent memory. Nobody is laughing now. Atlas weighed 19 pounds when Sophie found him. Not fat, structured. Long-bodied, broad-chested, with a mane of silver-gray fur that made him look less like a domestic cat and more like something that should be living in a nature documentary. He had been listed on the rescue website for 6 weeks with the description, "Best suited for an experienced cat owner, not recommended for small spaces." Sophie lived in a 700-square-foot apartment. She had owned one cat before, briefly, in college. She was not, by any reasonable definition, an experienced cat owner. She filled out the adoption application anyway. The rescue coordinator, a man named Paul, called her within 2 days. He was polite. He was thorough. He asked about her living situation, her schedule, her experience with large breeds. He explained that Maine Coons were not like other cats, that they were social in a way most cats were not, demanding in a way most owners were not prepared for, and that Atlas specifically had been returned once already by a family who had described him as overwhelming. Sophie asked what that meant. Paul said Atlas had a tendency to follow people from room to room, to insert himself into every activity, and to become, his word, distressed when left alone for long periods. The previous family had 2 young children and a full-time work schedule, and had found that a 19-pound cat sitting on their laptop, their laundry, their dinner, and their lap simultaneously was more than they had signed up for. Sophie said, "That sounds like he just wants company." Paul paused. Then he approved the application. The first day, Atlas walked every inch of the apartment in 11 minutes. Sophie timed it. He checked each corner, each cabinet, each window ledge. He found the spot above the refrigerator, decided it was acceptable, and sat there for 20 minutes surveying the rest of the space. Then he climbed down, walked to where Sophie was sitting on the couch, stepped directly onto her lap without invitation, and began to purr at a volume she had not previously associated with cats. Her roommate, visiting that evening, took one look at Atlas and said, "Sophie, that is not a cat, that is a problem." Atlas looked at her roommate took a step back. By week 2, Sophie had reorganized her entire morning routine around Atlas. Not because she had planned to, because Atlas had made it clear through a combination of persistence and sheer physical presence that the morning routine now included him. He sat on the bathroom counter while she brushed her teeth. He walked ahead of her to the kitchen and waited beside his bowl with the focused patience of someone who had been promised breakfast and intended to collect. He followed her back to the bedroom while she got dressed and lay across the foot of the bed, tail moving, watching. Her roommate started referring to him as the manager. And honestly, the title fit. Atlas had opinions about the thermostat setting, about which throw blanket was acceptable on the couch, and about the precise time dinner should be served. He communicated all of this not through noise, but through presence, by sitting directly in front of whatever you were doing until you acknowledged the issue. You're still here, and I'm guessing you haven't subscribed yet. That honestly surprises me. Hit subscribe. Atlas has barely gotten started. By month 2, something unexpected was happening. Sophie worked from home 3 days a week. On those days, Atlas positioned himself on the desk beside her laptop. Not on the keyboard, not blocking the screen, but beside it, close enough that his tail occasionally drifted across her wrist while she typed. He did not demand attention during work hours. He simply maintained proximity. Something about the weight of him nearby, the low, persistent hum of his purr, made it easier to stay in her chair and finish things. Her mother visited in month 3 and spent the first hour trying to get Atlas to come to her. He ignored every attempt. Then she sat down on the floor to look at something on her phone, and Atlas walked over, sniffed her once, and folded himself into her lap with the authority of someone claiming a reserved seat. Her mother looked up at Sophie. She said, "He's enormous." Sophie said, "I know." Her mother said, "He's purring so loud I can feel it in my knees." Sophie said, "I know." The turning point came on a Thursday in October, 5 months in. Sophie had had a bad day, the kind that builds quietly. Small things, one after another. Nothing dramatic. A meeting that went sideways, a message that didn't come, rush hour that added 40 minutes to a commute she usually didn't mind. She came home, put her bag down, and stood in the hallway, not quite sure what to do with herself. Atlas was off the refrigerator before she had taken off her coat. He walked to her, sat down at her feet, and looked up. That was all. 19 pounds of Maine Coon sitting at her feet, looking up with amber eyes that held no urgency and no demand. Just attention. The particular attention of an animal that notices things without being asked to. Sophie sat down on the floor. Atlas stepped onto her lap, and his purr built until she could feel it in her sternum. She sat there for 22 minutes. By the time she stood up, the day had rearranged itself into something she could put down. She told her mother about it that weekend. Her mother said, "That's not a cat, that's a therapist." Sophie said, "He's cheaper." Maine Coons were originally working cats, ship's cats, farm cats, animals that earned their place by being useful. Something in them still remembers that. They don't sit beside you because they want warmth or food or safety. They sit beside you because they have decided you are their responsibility. Atlas had decided Sophie was his responsibility somewhere around day 3, and he had not reconsidered since. The group chat her coworkers had started, the one with the lion jokes, went quiet by month 2. Then it changed. People started asking for photos, then updates. The coworker who had been the loudest about the original joke sent a message that just said, "Okay, he's actually incredible." Nobody laughed anymore. They asked questions instead. Sophie is 29 now. Atlas is 4. He still follows her from room to room. He still claims her lap with the confidence of someone who has never once considered that this might be inconvenient. The apartment is still 700 square feet. Atlas still barely fits in it. Some things that look like too much from the outside turn out to be exactly enough once you're on the inside. Did Sophie make the right call, or would you have walked away from a 19-pound cat with a returned sticker on his file? Tell me in the comments.